The Hawaii trip had been my lifelong dream. Clear blue water, white sand, and gentle waves singing lullabies under the sun. I'd spent years saving every spare penny from my modest retirement check, not for myself alone, but to share that dream with my daughter, Amelia, her husband, Jake, and my 2 precious grandchildren. It was supposed to be our family's once in a lifetime vacation, a celebration of togetherness after years of distance. I still remember the day the tickets arrived. I placed them on the dining table and ran my fingers over the crisp paper. "We're really doing this," I whispered, tears filling my eyes. For once, everything seemed perfect. A few days later, Amelia called. Her voice trembled slightly, something between guilt and hesitation. "Mom," she began softly, "I have some bad news. We'll have to cancel the Hawaii trip." My heart sank. "Cancel? Why? The kids caught a terrible cold," she replied quickly, "and Jake's work schedule got crazy. It's just bad timing." For a moment, I couldn't speak. I had waited so long, planned every detail, imagined the smiles on my grandkids' faces as they built sandcastles by the shore. But I didn't want her to hear the disappointment in my voice. "Oh, sweetheart," I said finally, forcing a smile she couldn't see. "Family comes first. We can always go another time." She sighed with relief. "Thanks for understanding, Mom. I'll handle the cancellation details. Don't worry about a thing." That night I sat in silence, staring at the suitcase I had already packed. Floral dresses, sun hats, sunscreen. I pushed it under the bed and told myself it didn't matter. Maybe next year, maybe never. Days passed. Weeks, Amelia stopped calling as often. I assumed she was busy taking care of the kids. I missed her voice, the laughter of the children through the phone. To distract myself, I joined my old book club again, trying not to think of what could have been. Then one afternoon, my friend Clara showed me something that froze me where I stood. She held up her phone, her eyes wide. "Linda, isn't this your daughter?" On the screen was a photo of Amelia, smiling brightly on a Hawaiian beach. The turquoise ocean stretched behind her. In one hand, she held a tropical drink with a pink umbrella. And just a few feet away, my grandchildren, laughing, playing in the sand. My knees nearly gave out. No, there must be a mistake. But there was no mistake. The caption read, "Family Paradise, so grateful for this getaway." The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. She hadn't canceled the vacation, she had canceled me. My chest ached as I stared at the image of the people I loved most in the world, enjoying the dream I built with my own sacrifices. I remembered every late night I spent working overtime. Every birthday I missed to earn extra money, all for Amelia's happiness. And this was how she repaid me with lies. That night I sat by the window, the photo still burning in my mind. The moonlight fell softly across the room, but my heart was heavy. I didn't cry loudly. I didn't call her to scream or demand answers. I simply whispered into the quiet, "You forgot, Amelia, that love isn't something you cancel." As I closed my eyes, something inside me changed. The hurt turned into something steady, not revenge, not anger, but resolve. If she thought she could erase me so easily, she was wrong. The next chapter of my life and hers was just beginning. The morning after I discovered the photo, I sat at my kitchen table, staring into my untouched cup of coffee. The same image of Amelia and my grandkids in Hawaii replayed in my mind, each time cutting a little deeper. I wanted to believe there was some mistake, maybe an old picture, maybe a surprise trip someone else had planned, anything but what it really was. A lie. For 2 days I didn't sleep. I tried to convince myself it didn't matter, that maybe she had her reasons. But the silence between us grew heavier, more suffocating. Finally, I decided to call her. "Hi, Mom." She answered cheerfully. Her tone was too bright, too controlled. "How are the kids feeling now?" I asked softly. "Better from their cold." There was a pause. Oh, yes, much better. They're great now. My fingers trembled around the phone. That's good to hear. I saw something online, Amelia. You were in Hawaii. The silence that followed was deafening. I could almost hear her heartbeat through the line. Mom, listen, she finally said, her voice suddenly small. I didn't mean to hurt you. It didn't seem right to take you. You wouldn't have enjoyed it. It was so hot, and you hate flying, remember. Jake thought it would be better if we went alone. This time, I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of every word. So you canceled the trip for me. Yes, Mom, please understand, it wasn't personal, but it was. It was entirely personal. She hadn't wanted me there, not because of my comfort, but because she was ashamed of me. Maybe of my simple clothes, my quiet nature, the way I still carried an old phone with cracks on the screen. Somewhere along the way, my daughter had outgrown the woman who raised her. After that call, I sat for a long time in silence, the betrayal sinking in like a slow, cold rain. I had given her everything, my time, my savings, my heart. When her father died, I worked 2 jobs just to keep her in college. I skipped meals so she'd never feel hunger. And now she lied to me just to enjoy a trip without the burden of her aging mother. That night, I looked at the framed photo on my mantel, the one of Amelia at her graduation, standing beside me, holding my hand proudly. I wondered when that pride had turned into embarrassment. For the first time in my life, I didn't call to check on her the next day. I didn't send her good morning messages or remind her to eat. I simply withdrew quietly, gracefully. I decided that my love would no longer be something she could take for granted. A few days later, I received a message from her. Mom, are you okay? You've been so quiet. I stared at it for a while before typing. I'm fine, dear, just thinking about planning my own trip one day. It was a simple message, but behind those words, something had shifted. I wasn't the fragile woman she thought I was. If she believed she could lie to me and move on as if nothing happened, she was mistaken. I wouldn't yell or confront her. I would show her, in my own way, what it feels like to be left behind. And when I finally did, she would remember that the woman she thought was too old for adventure still had more strength and grace than she ever imagined. My heart still hurt, yes, but beneath the ache, a new fire began to burn. It wasn't revenge born of anger. It was the quiet determination of a mother who had been underestimated for far too long. Months passed, and though time softened the edges of my pain, the memory of that betrayal never truly left me. Every time I saw a family on vacation or the scent of ocean breeze drifted through an open window, the ache returned, sharp and cold. Amelia called now and then, pretending everything was normal. I played along, answering politely, keeping my tone warm but distant. Then, one afternoon, as the sun poured through the lace curtains, I received an unexpected call from my late husband's cousin, Robert. He owned a luxury travel company and had always been kind to me. After some small talk, he said, "Linda, I heard about what happened with Amelia. I can't stand how she treated you. How would you like to join one of our cruises next month? My gift to you." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. "Oh, Robert, that's too generous. Nonsense," he said firmly. "You deserve a real vacation. Think of it as a little restart." I hesitated, then smiled for the first time in months. "All right," I whispered, "maybe I do." That evening, I called Amelia. "Sweetheart," I began, my voice light and casual, "I've joined a senior travel group. We're planning a little cruise through the Mediterranean next month." Her reaction was immediate. "Wait, what? You're going on a cruise alone?" I laughed softly. "Not alone, with a few friends. We'll see Italy, Greece, maybe Spain. It's nothing fancy." There was a pause, then her tone shifted. "That sounds really nice, Mom. You didn't tell me you were planning something like that. I wasn't sure until today." I replied, "It's time I did something for myself, don't you think?" She murmured, "Of course, you deserve it." but beneath her words I could hear the faintest trace of unease. When the day came, I boarded the ship wearing a floral sundress and a hat I'd bought years ago for Hawaii, the one that never got to see the sun. The sea shimmered like liquid glass, the air smelled of salt and promise, and for the first time in years, I felt alive. I took photos standing on deck under a pink sunset, laughing with new friends over dinner, strolling through narrow streets in Santorini with the Aegean sparkling behind me. Then I did something unexpected. I posted them online. The comments poured in. "You look stunning, Linda. So proud of you. Living your best life." And then, buried among the sea of kind words, came one comment that made me pause, from Amelia. "You didn't tell me." I stared at her words for a long moment before replying simply, "Neither did you. No anger, no bitterness. Just truth." That night, as I stood on the deck watching the moon reflect across the waves, I realized something beautiful. I didn't need her approval to be happy. For years, I'd lived in her shadow, believing my worth depended on her love and gratitude. But standing there, surrounded by strangers who treated me with respect and joy, I understood what freedom truly meant. I wasn't the forgotten mother left behind. I was a woman rediscovering herself, one sunset, one smile, one wave at a time. And though she didn't know it yet, Amelia's lesson was just beginning. When I returned home from the Mediterranean cruise, I felt like a different woman. My skin glowed from the sun, my heart was light, and my mind was clear. I had left behind the hurt, the tears, and the quiet ache that Amelia's lie had carved into me. For the first time in years, I had lived for myself. A week after my return, I heard a knock on the door. When I opened it, there she was, Amelia, standing on my porch, her eyes wide and uncertain. She looked smaller somehow, her confidence dimmed. "Mom," she began softly, "you look amazing. Thank you, sweetheart," I replied calmly, stepping aside. "Come in." She hesitated before entering. I could feel the weight of her guilt fill the room. Her eyes darted toward the framed photos on the shelf, the ones from my trip. There I was, smiling on deck, eating gelato in Italy, laughing under fairy lights in Greece. After a long silence, she finally said, "I saw your pictures online. You didn't tell me you were going on such a beautiful trip." I smiled faintly. "No, I didn't. I didn't think it was necessary." Her voice cracked. "Mom, I need to explain about Hawaii. I shouldn't have lied. Jake and we just wanted some time alone. We thought you'd be uncomfortable with all the walking, the heat. But that doesn't excuse what we did. It was wrong." I looked at her, my daughter, the girl I had raised with so much love and sacrifice. There was no anger left in me now, only a quiet sadness. "You didn't just lie, Amelia," I said softly. "You took away something I dreamed of sharing with you, not because I needed a vacation, but because I wanted memories with my family. You replaced that dream with a lie, and that's what hurt most." Her eyes filled with tears. "I know, Mom. I'm so sorry." I reached out and took her hand gently. "I forgave you a long time ago, Amelia. I just needed to remember who I was before I became someone people thought they could overlook." She covered her face, crying softly. "You're right, Mom. I treated you like you were in the background. But seeing you out there, traveling, smiling, living your life, it made me realize how much I've taken you for granted." I smiled, squeezing her hand. Then maybe my little adventure did more good than I imagined. For the first time in years, she stayed for dinner. We talked, laughed, and even planned a small weekend getaway together, just the two of us. But this time, I didn't cling to the hope of being included. I had learned to build joy on my own. A month later, when my travel group announced a trip to Japan, Amelia called me the moment she saw my post. "Mom, Japan sounds incredible. Can I come with you?" Her voice was hopeful, almost childlike. I chuckled softly. "Maybe next time, dear. This one's just for me." There was a pause, then she laughed, a real, genuine laugh. "You've changed, Mom. I finally started living," I replied. As I packed my suitcase once again, I slipped in my sun hat, the same one I'd bought years ago for that canceled Hawaii trip. Only this time, it wasn't a symbol of heartbreak. It was a reminder of resilience, because the sweetest revenge isn't found in anger or payback. It's found in peace, in showing the world and those who hurt you that you can rise, smile, and shine brighter than ever. And as the plane lifted into the sky, I looked out the window and whispered, "This time, the dream is mine.